What is going on, guys? We're back playing some more Surviving with Thaumcraft 5. And today, guys, we're going to be messing around with Runic Shielding and the items that offer it, which are pretty much just going to be accessories that go in the Bobble Slot. So if you don't know what the Bobble Slot is, if you open up and look at your character, right on the opposite side of your armor, there's going to be this button that says Bobbles, and it's going to open up this little tab which has one for an amulet, two for rings, and then one for a belt. So we're going to be making all four of these today. They're all going to have Runic Shielding on them, and they're all going to have different upgrades that can either decrease the Runic Shielding and give added effects, pretty much anything like that. So there is a little bit of research that needs to be done today. It's going to be in the Artifice tab, and it's going to be right down here. So the first one is just Runic Shielding. So the research for that is right over here. And as always, you can feel free to pause the video if you want to see this. It's a little bit sloppy, but it got the job done. So there you go. So we can take this one, we can learn it, and if we take a look at this, you can see it unlocks two different ones, so Specialized Runic Baubles and Runic Shielding Augmentation. So we're actually going to be only working with the Specialized Runic Baubles today, possibly, and the nice thing is this one only requires 3 experience levels to purchase. This one actually requires a research note. The Runic Shielding Augmentation pretty much allows you to add a Runic Shielding levels to certain types of armor, typically armor offered by Thaumcraft, and the reason we're not going to be working with it today, just a brief overview, is because it requires infusions, and as you infuse it from Runic Shielding +1 to +2 to +3, it becomes exponentially more expensive to the point where it's requiring 500 plus essentia of multiple different types to do, so we're not going to actually do that, but we are going to get these Specialized Runic Baubles. So, basic Runic Shielding, it's pretty much saying that these are magical accessories such as the rings, amulets, and belts that are protective baubles that you can be worn along with your regular armor, and they create a barrier of magical energy, which can shield your hit points. It's almost like additional hit points that replenish, but it doesn't always shield you from everything like environmental damage. And then once you go through all of that, you start taking regular damage, and it replenishes over time, requiring Terra and Air V to replenish it. And it offers no protection, like I said, from environmental hazards, and due to its nature, the armor cannot be enchanted by normal means, and this is the augmentation I was talking about. This is what's right here, the Runic Shielding Augmentation. There are other ways to enchant armor for it, and there's also other ways to improve the effectiveness of the baubles that you're going to be working with today. So, we can look at a couple of these. If you were ever curious as to what the mundane rings, amulets, belts, anything like that do, they're pretty much the base for where you're going to start with all these different rings and amulets of Runic Shielding. Now you can see it says Runic Shield +5, this one says Runic Shield +8, and then if we go over, the Girdle says Runic Shield +10. Now, all of these are kind of annoying to do infusions for, solely because they each require pretty much similar things. They're going to require some Night Art, they're going to require Enchanted Fabric, Amber, a Primal Charm, and then scribing tools. So if we flip through them, you can see that's pretty common. It's just going to increase the amount of stuff it requires and keep all of these 4 things the same, and pretty much the Night Ore is what changes, and then the base item. Now these all require Praemunio and Potentia, so the annoying thing is you can't necessarily fill up all of your void jars, warded jars, whichever it is, with this stuff because it's going to require more than you have the ability to fill up. So I do have some leather and coal in here, not always the best sources, but leather is really easy to get with Praemunio. I went out and killed a bunch of cows. Not going to be low on food anytime soon. And then we can just get Potentia from coal. But we're going to be doing these infusions for these and looking at possible upgrades for them. So the first thing we need to do is grab some iron, and we need to head over and turn this into brass. So we can come over here, throw it in, and get ourselves some of this. I don't think we're going to need all 11, but we might as well make it all use it eventually. I'm using up some of the valuable Potentia though. Okay, so we got those out. We're going to be using these for making all of the different mundane items. So for the rings, it's just going to be, we're going to need 2 of these. It's just going to be the nuggets all around the edge like that. We're going to need 2 mundane rings, so we can grab those out. And then we're going to need to grab some of the leather and some of the string that we have in here. So we're going to need 3 leather and 3 string. And we're going to be making the amulet like this. It's going to take the 3 string and 1 ingot for the mundane amulet. And then the belt is going to be the same exact way, except replace the string with leather. And there we go. We have the mundane belt. So now we have all of the base items that we're going to need for this. The next thing that we're going to need to do is we actually need to make the Primal Charm. So we're going to need 4 of these. So we can just grab out all of these and our gold and come over and craft that. So we got to throw our wand in there. I think we should have enough to just craft 4 of these in a row, and they don't stack. That is phenomenal. Okay, so there we go. Take the wand out to recharge and dump the rest of these back in there. Had just enough balance shards for it. Okay, so now we actually should have everything that we're going to need to start crafting these. The instability ranges from minor to moderate, so you can see that the girdle is moderate, the amulet is moderate, and the rings are minor. The rings obviously require the least, but we're going to be making 2 of those. So last thing we need to do, I actually forgot, is we need to make the enchanted fabric, which is always really easy. It's just going to be the wool surrounded by string, so we can throw the wand back in there, make all 4 enchanted fabrics, take this out again, and allow it to recharge. Now we should have everything. Okay, so we're going to grab out the scribing tools, the amber, the night ore, and eventually I'll grab out the leather and the coal. The reason that I don't want to do this right now is because for the most part these jars should be full over here, so I do have a hopper ready to go over here to throw them in and allow these to refill as we're going. But because these are void jars, it's going to start losing the stuff that we actually want when these overflow. So right now this is completely full. This has 48 because we just worked with some of it, but I'm going to wait until after we deplete these a little bit to start throwing them in there. So we can start with the ring just because that's the easiest one. So we need the Mundane Ring in the center, and then let's grab out Mundane Ring. And I don't necessarily know why these all need scribing tools. It's kind of annoying, but we're going to do those scribing tools, and InventoryTweaks is going to screw with us a ton right now. But we can grab out all of this. I think this should be all that we're going to need. So if this is going to require 5, it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical. Yeah, so it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical. Perfectly fine, though. Instability is very low. And did we already throw down the Primal Charm? We did. So what are we missing here? Scribing tools, that. Oh, we need... No, we don't need the nether. We need the amber for this one. So we can throw down the amber. Might as well throw it down right over there. And we should be good to go. So let's get our silverwood staff out. And let's get this going. So this one, there should be really no issues with it. It should be relatively quick, because it's not going to need that much essentia, and it's also not going to need that many items to have sucked into it. I don't think anything should go wrong. And then what I'll probably do is hop off camera, do the same one again just to get our second ring. Then we can hop back and... Oh, that's great. Got that nice warp going on here. Then we can hop back and we can do the other 2 and then look into possible upgrades for them. So it doesn't look like anything bad is happening. Almost done with the Potentia. It is taking a lot of it. Oh, that just got popped off. So what was that? Oh gosh, I don't even remember. That was the Primal Charm. So we gotta throw that back on there. So it's got everything. That I didn't actually expect that to pop off. Okay, but that was the Primal Charm that popped off, yeah. Okay, so there we go. We now have the ring. So I'm going to hop off camera. I'm going to do this again. Hopefully nothing pops off. Then we'll jump back and we will start working on the rest of it. Okay guys, so we're back. I finished off the rings off camera. Now unfortunately I did lose my scribing tools during one of the infusions. It just disappeared, so I did go and make a couple extras in case that does happen again. So we have some extra scribing tools, primal charms, fabric, all that good stuff. And now we can actually set up for the amulet, I guess is the one that we can do next, because we'll go from the easiest to the most difficult, just based on how much they actually require for the infusion. So I did refill, for the most part, everything over here. Let me just make sure. Ooh, I actually might not have refilled our Potentia. It might have gotten completely used up. Yeah, so this should be refilled, but I think I need to refill. I think I got to throw some coal in here and allow that to refill while we're throwing these things down. So the next one that we're going to be doing, like I said, is the amulet. So we can throw the mundane amulet down, and let me make sure that this actually needs... Okay, so it does need to be refilled. So the mundane amulet can go in the center, and then for this one, it actually is going to be a little bit more symmetrical just because it's going to require 6 different things. So we're going to do the same stuff again. We can have the amber, the primal charm, and then across from that we can do the enchanted fabric and the scribing tools, and then we can have the night ore opposite each other. So we can do those. Since we're going to need 2 of them, we can do one like that and one like that. So now we have 28 Potentia. I don't know how much we're actually going to need for this. Let's take a look. We need 50. And then the Praemunio we actually should have enough of to start. So I don't know which it's going to suck out first, but I want to say that we should be good to start this if we throw a little bit of extra coal in there. Yeah, so I think we should be good to start this. Let's grab out our silverwood staff. Now we do have to pay attention on this one, just because I want to make sure I know where everything is. Let me take a look. I want to make sure I know where everything is in case we lose something. So if something disappears, I want to know what we lost. Okay. The only thing I can't see right now is the enchanted fabric. Okay, we got an eye on literally everything right here. So let's just make sure none of it disappears. I didn't actually know that that could happen, or I forgot that that could happen. I thought for the most part it would pop off, but it didn't. It just got disappeared, sucked away. And initially I thought it was actually used up, but then I was like, wait, no, it doesn't make that popping noise when it gets used up. It sucks I didn't have it on camera, but okay, so it should be finishing with the Potentia soon, and then we should be good to go. The items getting sucked in, no problems yet. Okay, there we go. So if I was confident in this, I'd actually go and allow the Potentia to start refilling again, but I am not confident that this is going to finish without any issues, so we're going to just watch it. We're going to be safe over here. Okay, so that should be good. Yep, there we go, it's done. We can grab that out. We can allow the Potentia to start refilling, and then we are going to need to refill a little bit on the Praemunio too. So we'll throw like 20 some leather in there. I think we're going to need more Potentia too. I don't think this is going to give us enough, because I think we need, let's see how much we need for the next one. We need a full, oh my gosh, okay. We don't have a creeper behind us, don't worry. It's just doing all these infusions, giving us a little warp. But yeah, so we're going to need a full container of this, so we might actually need to get a little bit more coal if I don't have any in here. Yeah, we can grab some from the chest over here. And I don't even know if 8's going to be enough. It definitely won't be. You know, we're grabbing a full stack from over here. Okay, so we'll throw a little bit in there for now, and then we'll start setting up the next one. And let's see, do we have enough of this? 33. How much do we need? 40. Oh, please tell me we didn't use up all the leather yet. Oh, man, I really hope this can get us to 40. Yeah, okay, it's going to get us to 40, so we're good. So we throw down the Mundane Belt in the center, and then we're going to need 3 yellow night ores. So, again, it's not going to be symmetrical this time. So we can throw those there. We can throw the Primal Charm down right there. We can throw the Amber there, scribing tools, and where is the Enchanted Fabric? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we have everything we need here. We should wait a little bit longer on the Potentia just because it's very slowly filling up. Actually, we should be good to start it in a second. The one thing that I want to get is going to be a couple extra night ore just because I don't have, those are the only things that I don't have extra in my inventory, and that's like majority of what's going to go on in this infusion. So I just want to make sure if anything pops off that we have it in our inventory ready to go. We should swap out these scribing tools, and I think we should be good. So let's start this one up. This one is the one that I'm most worried about having issues with, so we're definitely keeping an eye on this one. But once we're done with this, we should be good for the day. I don't know if we're actually going to do any upgrades today. I think we're going to go over a lot of them, but because they're not the most practical. Okay, so that was the Amber. That one actually fell off. There we go. That's why we got to keep an eye on it, guys. Okay, so right here we got a good line of sight on everything, but I don't think we're going to do upgrades today just because they're not the most practical for the amount they cost. And it actually decreases the Runic Shielding that is offered by them by 1 or 2 for each one to give some added effects. But because I'm not typically fighting stuff, there really isn't that much of a point. A lot of the added effects are like, oh, if something hits you, it'll... Oh, there was one of the night ore. You can go right over there. If something hits you, it'll, you know, knock back everything around you. Or another one is you'll have increased regeneration, stuff like that, which isn't necessarily required. We'll get into that later, though, when we do the runic armor, or the runic shielding on the armor, I should say. Okay, looks like everything's about to finish up here. Not any huge issues with this one, just some things popping off. And there we go. Okay, so we now have all of our accessories ready to go. They look pretty awesome, and the reason I really wanted to do this is because, you know, we've got our Thaumium armor here. It's not the best, but we've got our Goggles of Revealing, our Boots of the Traveler, which I love. And then on top of that, this is the only section we don't have filled, and it does offer a lot of protection. So let's throw on just one ring to start. And you can see that it adds 1 bar between our armor and our health that is slowly refilling. It's yellow hearts. It's similar to those kind of heart canisters that you can get in a lot of mod packs. I'm not sure what mod it's from, but I know I've worked with it before. And it pretty much just adds like additional different colored hearts that are a buffer before it goes into your actual health. So these are, again, a buffer. You can see that it adds 5, so of course that's 2.5 hearts. and then we throw in the next ring, and it should fill up to 5 completely, and then we'll throw in the next couple, and we will have a very nice buffer of our health that recharges slightly slow. We can fix that eventually. So now we'll have the Girdle, which should put us up to a full 10, and then we can throw on the Amulet. I'm curious if it should go to a second line when we throw on the Amulet. I don't think it would fully extend past 10. So we'll let that one refill, and then we'll throw on the Amulet. So there we go. Yeah, so it refills another line. Wow, so we got a lot going on down there. And eventually we will have a lot more when we end up putting it on our armor too. So now that we have those on there, we've done all the infusions, we can go take a look at the specialized runic baubles. So this pretty much is just going to be ones that you further add infusions to. It takes more potentia, more premunio, and the instability on these is actually really high. Just because of what they do. So this one, specialized version of the Ring of Shielding, and it pretty much increases the recharge rate of the shield by 25%, and because you can have 2 of these, it actually could cut the time in half, which is really nice. This is probably the first one that I would go for, and it's also not very expensive. You do have to get a Potion of Swiftness, but other than that, it's pretty cheap. The next one is going to be the Ring of Shielding Revitalizing. And this is pretty much going to lessen the shield again for these. I actually don't know if this one, yeah, so this one does too by 1. But when your runic shielding is breached, it will allow you to regenerate the runic shield really fast for just a little bit. Now this is one that the effect can only trigger every so often. So this one's 20 seconds. A lot of them are 20 seconds. One of them that we're going to go over is going to be 1 minute. But this one's a little bit different in what it requires because it takes Aqua and Victus, and then Premunio, and then in place of the Potion of Swiftness, it's Regeneration, and instead of Ignis Shards, or Fire Shards, it's going to be Water Shards. So again, instability is high. Now we have the Kinetic Girdle of Shielding. So this is the one that I was briefly talking about before, which pretty much makes a blast, shoving everything back that's near you when you get hit. It can only be triggered once every 20 seconds, and then this one, Splash Potion of Harming. Then it takes air shards instead, again a balance shard, instability high, and then it takes air and premunio. And the next one is the Amulet of Emergency Shielding. Now I think this one's actually pretty cool. I like the rings for faster recharging a lot, but I also like this one. Again, runic shielding goes down by 1, but it pretty much says that when your shield is breached, you gain 8 charges, which is awesome. That's like having an entire another amulet, or what would be, it's between an amulet and a belt, because this one gives 9 and this one gives 7 once they have these further upgrades on them. But this one's a minute, so this can only happen every minute. Now I don't know how often you guys are fighting things in your Minecraft world, but I think these effects are pretty awesome, considering a lot of the time you're not fighting things consistently for like 30 minutes straight unless you're doing, going through a dungeon or something in a mod pack. But yeah, I think these are awesome. We'll get into these later, along with when we get into the Runic Shielding augmentation for our armor. But for today, guys, that's going to be it. I'm pretty happy with where this got us because, I mean, look at that. Look at how many hearts we have now, guys. We're pro at this game, basically. But thanks for watching, guys. If you found the video entertaining or informative in any way, please feel free to give it a like, because it does help me out a lot. And I will talk to you guys later.